Viewer beware. Hey there, my pest control enthusiasts, and welcome back to Viewer Beware. It's the only show where we go over each and every episode of the original Goosebumps TV series, and today we are watching Awesome Ants. And what could be more awesome than an ant?
Being dead, or anything else?
That's very dark, but that's your truth. I don't want to take that away from you. But, let's try to stay more positive here. What if these ants are like super cool guys that are like really chill, Just give them a chance.
I'll watch it, but I'm not gonna be happy about it.
Really not an ant fan, I guess. But if you pay close attention, you'll notice that the main character in today's episode is played by Michael Yarmush, who is the voice of Arthur from the PBS show Arthur, at least for the first 4 seasons from 1996 to 1999. He even came back for the series finale in 2022 to play adult Arthur. And for those of you in the know, you know that Arthur is an aardvark. And what do aardvarks eat?
Ass.
Close. The answer is ants. Ants. Aardvarks eat ants. See the connection here? Follow the money. It's all tied together. Alright? But anyway, Awesome Ants is the story of a kid that orders an ant colony for his science project, but then things go awry when he feeds them hot dogs and turkey. And I know that sounds stupid, and I know it sounds like we've seen it before, but have we seen it with crazy exterminators hanging out at elementary schools for no reason? That's, I doubt it. I very much doubt it. So, let's spray that raid and tune in to Awesome Ants. Our story opens at Aunt Deb's ice cream as our heroes Ben and Dave explore the exciting flavors of ice cream.
Man, you always go for the sick flavors.
Life's too short for boring ice cream, Ben.
As the kids eat the cream, they just now notice that the sweets are covered in ants. Then upon closer inspection, everything in the store is covered in ants. The kids run out of the store and immediately get attacked by a giant ant, but not really. It's Lance, the ants killer.
Speed is the best defense against the crawling menace.
Lance recruits the 2 random boys to assist in his extermination job, which I feel has to be some kind of OSHA violation or something. Lance fills the boys in on all kinds of ant facts as he assesses the situation.
Hey, if things had been a little bit different, they'd be the dominant species instead of us.
Come on, Ben, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Somehow Lance sniffs out exactly where the queen is and smushes it in his hand in front of the boys, calling it a day. Lance tells Dave that in a town full of infestations, he would do well to study his enemies with Awesome Ants habitats. The next day, Dave's ant habitat is delivered. Shocking Dave, as prime next day delivery was unheard of at the time. We learn that for the low price of $5, Dave received an absolutely massive ant habitat. Making the best of a strange situation, Dave turns the ant habitat into his science project. But Ben throws a wrench into the mix when he feeds the ants something different from the recommended menu. Seeing how quickly the ants demolish the worm, Dave clears out the fridge and studies how the ants eat different food items.
Put one of these in while I time to see how long it takes them to eat it.
Oh, my brothers don't even eat that fast.
That night, Dave reads about how overfeeding is dangerous for the bugs before his mom interrupts him with a tray of cookies, crawling with ants. Dave says nothing about the issue and lets her go back to the kitchen, and wouldn't you know it, the next morning the kitchen is swarmed with ants.
Wow, how'd these get in here?
David, do something!
Dave just records the event and decides it'll make an interesting twist to his science project. As he goes out to the ant colony, he sees the top of the case was forced open, so he blocks it with a brick and goes to school. At school, Dave runs into Lance, who is just hanging out listening to presentations before threatening the boy for supposedly lying about the ant project.
Ain't no worker ant bigger than their Dinoperona grandis, and they only get to be 2 inches. In your video, those ants are 3 inches, at least. They're fake, and you know it.
They are not, they're real.
Can't be, because if those ants were real, we wouldn't be around for long.
When Dave gets home, he sees the ants have broken out yet again and devoured a whole turkey. So that night, he steps up the security with a padlock and calls the support line for help.
I've got a problem. I've been feeding your ants hot dogs and stuff, And now
You
they're...
didn't read the instructions, did you?
Apparently feeding ants hot dogs is so massively dangerous he needs to evacuate the town immediately. But before he can process that, he is face to face with an ant the size of a cat in his room. Dave smashes the ant and searches for his mom and sister, but they are nowhere to be found. So naturally, he runs to Lance the Exterminator for help. But Dave soon discovers that Mr. Lance is gone as well. All that's left are gigantic ants swarming Dave. Holy shit, Dave just got eaten. As Dave gets dragged away by the ant, he wakes up at home, revealing it was all a dream. His family is fine, and the ant habitat isn't in his yard anymore. As Dave sits down for breakfast, he notices that all the food has been replaced with blue pellets, similar to the ant food in his dream.
I know what you're thinking.
Mr. Lance!
You're thinking if things had been maybe just a little bit different, we'd be the dominant species instead of them.
I dreamt that things were different. And ants were so small you could fit 1,000 of them in one hand. And it was your job to kill them.
Don't let them hear you say that.
It seemed so real. I started to believe it myself.
Better gather some food before it's all gone.
So it was all a dream. Dave just imagined that giant ants didn't rule his very life. And that's the whole twist. Giant ants are your overlords. But I mean, I guess it could be worse. They're at least feeding you little blue pellets and not torturing you, just kind of observing you, so that's gotta count for something, right?
Does that count, though? I'm not actively torturing you. Am I a good guy?
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point. Also, how long have those people been inside the habitat? Have they seen the actual Earth outside of there? Like, do they know what the ocean is? Or what a different town looks like, even? And what's to stop them from just going into, like, a full cannibalistic anarchy at any point? Like, if you run out of your blue pellets, who's gonna stop you from just killing your neighbor and taking their blue pellets? The ants? I don't think so. So Awesome Ants is adapted from a short story and Still More Tales to Give You Goosebumps. And it's pretty similar. The ending's a little different, though. Instead of it all being a dream, Dave does actually grow the ants, and then they eventually somehow make the humans shrink and then put them in the habitat. So it's still pretty nonsensical. I mean, all the food did was make them grow. It didn't make them quantum physicists out of nowhere.
Have you tried eating more? That might be why you're so stupid.
Possibly, but not likely. Overall, it's not a very good episode, and what makes it even worse is the backstory behind it. So, show writer Neil Schusterman had his choice of either Awesome Ants or another short story called Thumbprint of Doom. And after reading Thumbprint of Doom, it sounds like it's a better story. But he picked the ants because he thought he could do more with it. And by more, I guess he means giant ant prop. And I guess that looked cool, but... Anyway, Thumbprint of Doom is the story of a very superstitious girl that, avoids black cats and walking under ladders and all that stuff. But the main thing she's afraid of is the Thumbprint of Doom, where if somebody touches your head, you're guaranteed to have a misfortune within the next 24 hours. And then ultimately her friends drag her to a fair to go to a fortune teller. The fortune teller kind of plants her with one, and then, that turns to her saying, well, I'm going to curse all you guys now. And then they get all scared, and it's a whole thing. But then it all ends up that the girl was the daughter of the fortune teller and was just kind of making it all up, which is pretty interesting because it's one of the rare stories where the supernatural twist doesn't really happen. It's just, kids being kids.
So it's just kids lying about stuff.
Yes, but the imagery and suspense would make it feel so much more like a classic Goosebumps story. I mean, can you imagine a scene at the fair where there's mysticism in the air and everybody's getting spooked? That's the kind of the theme I'm looking for here. And maybe it's just me, but that's more evocative of the Goosebumps spirit than just giant bug prop. And don't get me wrong, those giant bugs did look pretty cool, but you know, the characters didn't really do anything. There's not much memorable. It just feels like the whole episode is a slog to get to the giant bug reveal. And then that's all it has going for it. Overall, I'm going to have to give Awesome Ants a less than awesome 1 bump out of 5. Check it out. Or I guess you could just go outside and look at a real anthill and get about as much fun out of it. You can even try giving them like a hot dog or like a worm or a turkey. Shove a whole turkey in an anthill, kind of see what happens. Maybe it'll turn really smart. Maybe it'll do your science homework for you. You don't know. You got to give them a whole turkey and find out. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. And if you made it this far, go ahead and drop a subscribe. We're getting really close to 1,000, and I'm excited for that. See you guys next time.
Man, you always go for the sick flavors.
Life's too short for boring ice cream, Ben.